In my latest book review, I went over The Master and His Emissary. It's a long form video, about 20 minutes, but I thought I would do a quick clip to give you an idea of what I thought was the most important thing you can learn from reading this book. And it's this. Our brains have evolved into two different hemispheres. Now, it didn't need to evolve into two different hemispheres. It could have been just one massive mass of neural connections. So there's a reason that it's separated into two hemispheres. And even beyond that, with primates especially, we've actually separated those hemispheres with something called the corpus callosum, a fibrous network that allows information to pass back and forth between the right and left hemisphere, but it also inhibits information from passing back and forth. So it creates two different ways of seeing the world. And it's much like a stringed instrument. So if you have a violin or a harp or a guitar, there's a string in between two different pieces of connection. And those two different connections are kind of like the two different hemispheres of your brain. And the tension in between those two things is what makes the music. You have to have the tension. And it's the same with the hemispheres. They're somewhat in competition in seeing the world in different ways. But we've evolved to understand that you need to have that competition. You need to have that tension. And it's much like anything in politics with right and left. You have to have that tension to actually make any progress. And with the genders as well, where men and women have, on average, different ways of seeing some things. And it's important to keep those things separate and different. And that tension isn't something to be resolved. The tension in itself is valuable because that's what makes the music. So our brains have evolved to reflect the very nature of humanity and the universe itself.